actually went to my counselor one day and I was like, I'm kind of lost. I don't know if I want to do this whole environmental science thing. He's like, well, what is up here? Like, what do you want to do? I kind of just want to help people. But why is your mom dropping you off at work every day, dude? Like, what's going on? Like, go buy a car. You could buy a beater for like a G. You've got money. And he's like, every one of my paychecks goes to my mom so she can live. But at that point on, I was like, being independent is so important. I don't want anyone else's help. So that was kind of my pivotal moment of realizing what I wanted to do with my life. I had my company, it was my baby. I put everything into it. God, I was probably working like 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was everything to me. But I ended up losing the company. Lost everything, and I was in a ton of lawyer debt. Never in a million years could someone tell me that I would go from saving people's lives to knocking on someone's door and selling them solar panels. If I was your age, I would take all of my money I'm investing in stocks, all of it, and I would invest it into my business. If you view everything in life as an experience, if you truly believe that every single thing in your life is entirely just an experience that's building the person that you are today or going to become. You can have all the money in the world, but if you haven't developed yourself as an individual and poured that time, energy, and effort to building who you want to become, then you really have nothing.
Your reward is your character.
Yeah.
What you've developed as a person, who you've become.
The best way you can change somebody's life is to give them the knowledge, the tools, and the opportunity to be successful.
Today, I got my good buddy, Jake Ratermann with me.
What's going on, man?
Otherwise known as Rat Daddy.
Yeah, that is my other name.
It's your other name. It's actually your license plate as well.
That is my license plate, yep. Last name Ratermann. Been called, all you can think about, Rat Daddy, Ratatouille. So,
well, bro, welcome to the podcast.
It's good to be here, man. Good to be here. It's been a journey. It definitely has been a journey with you guys. So it's been a blessing to be here and stoked to talk more about it.
Yes, definitely. So, first of all, just share a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Diego, California. Surfing, ocean, all that fun stuff. And, lived there my whole life. Went to college in Montana. Okay. Did that for a little bit. As far as my background goes, I started in... obviously working in, customer industry, restaurant, working through college. But then I started working for the fire department in San Diego as an EMT and then ocean lifeguard as well. So being on the beaches, boats, jet skis out there. So
nice,
it's kind of my background. Yeah.
Nice. Talk to us about your childhood growing up in San Diego. What was that like?
San Diego's awesome, man. You definitely take it for granted, especially being out here in Chicago, moving out.
Gets a little chilly.
Winters, you definitely got to get used to them 100%. But going to school in Montana, I got used to it a little bit more with the negative 20 degree wind chills out there.
Bro, Montana's another level. You think winters here are bad. Like, winters here is like 40 degrees.
Yeah. Dude, in college, it's you see, for me at least, it's like I can only snowboard so much. And everybody, the main event out there is like, oh, in the winter, dude, everyone just stays inside and drinks. And I'm like, only so much you can do that until you're just kind of out of it. But most beautiful place in the world, 100%. Definitely wouldn't change it for the world. But, because I'm a big outdoor guy. So, fly fishing, all that fun stuff.
Yes, definitely. So growing up, you spent the majority of your time surfing. Talk to us about your childhood in San Diego.
Yeah. So, my childhood growing up, it was awesome. Being in San Diego, obviously the weather is huge. Mm-hmm. Honestly, San Diego is a very diverse area. You're surrounded by so many unique people, individuals, opportunities. So growing up in that environment, I actually grew up going to Catholic school. So I was a pretty big pretty big Catholic, held the cross to the whole 9 yards. You know, I'm not very Catholic anymore, but like growing up in that environment was huge. And I was blessed to do that because I was surrounded by, you know, intelligent people the entire way through it, in an environment where, you know, it wasn't too sheltered, but I had the ability to explore and do things like that. But it was really, I would say the only sheltered environment was just being in an environment with, you know, good ethics, morals, things like that. And so that was huge. Looking back at it now, obviously being, you know, feeling very blessed to, you know, be in that environment growing up. But as far as that goes, you know, surfing, the whole spear fishing, I'm a big outdoor guy. So like for me, that was kind of the biggest thing, you know, growing up in San Diego and feeling blessed, you know, moving, you know, going across last year, I did a lot. We can talk about that more, but I did, you know, went across almost 12 different states. But, you know, experiencing the United States, I'd say very, very lucky to live in San Diego.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one of the most beautiful places in the country.
Yeah,
to live.
Entirely.
Cool. So grew up in SD, and then you went to college in Montana. What did you go to college for?
So obviously, I think anyone who went to college can tell you this, but usually you have no idea what the hell you want to do, what the hell you want to do going into college. But for me, I really thought, I was like, dude, I want to do environment. Like, I love the environment. I love outdoors. I want to do something to go, you know, far and beyond. I didn't want to study trees, but I wanted to just be outside. So it's like, how can I be outside and make money, really was kind of the big goal. And so, you know, going in college, met a lot of people, and I actually went to my counselor one day and I was like, dude, like, hey, I'm kind of lost. Like, I don't know if I want to do this whole environmental science thing. Like, come to think about it, we're actually studying the circles on trees and how old they are. And I'm like, I don't know if that's up my alley. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, what is up your alley? What do you want to do? And I was like, honestly, I kind of just want to help people. Before, you know, I was lucky enough to have my grandfather, he introduced me. We used to go down to Mexico and build orphanages, you know, growing up. And, you know, kind of instilled with me a ton of work ethic. You know, I've always had a job since the moment I could legally have a job. I've always been, you know, trying to be financially independent. You know, I had actually, you know, going back, I won't go too far off topic, but I just wanted to touch on something too, because it was kind of a big pivotal moment in my life that's kind of led me to where I am now. It was my first job. I was actually working at a paintball park on Camp Pendleton base, which is in Oceanside in San Diego. And it was my first gig, and I had this one guy that was working with me, and I was like, dude, you're like 17, like, you know, why is your mom dropping you off at work every day, dude? Like, what's going on? Like, go buy a car. You could buy a beater for like a G. If you got money,
sure.
You've been working here for a while. And he's like, dude, like, I give all my money to my mom. Like, every one of my paychecks go to my mom. And I was like, what? Like, dude, what do you mean? He's like, every one of my paychecks goes to my mom so she can live. And that like hit me. And I was, at that point on, I was like, dude, I don't want any more financial support. I don't want to take money from people, you know, not even my family, but at that point on, I was like, being independent is so important, of just, you know, I don't want anyone else's help. And because, you know, looking at that moment, I was like, dude, I don't think I took for granted anything else in my life after that. Was, you know, working hard, trying to be financially independent was kind of my number one goal, and not taking a lot from my family, even though my family was very supportive and I was very lucky for that growing up. I just didn't want to do that after seeing that or hearing that story. And so, you know, obviously pivoting into college, I wanted to, again, you know, find an opportunity. And so going back to my counselor, you know, I was in there sitting with him, and he's like, dude, like, you know, what do you want to do? Told him, hey, I want to help people. I want to make a difference. He's like, have you ever thought about being like an EMT or like, you know, working in the medical field? It's like, dude, I don't want to be a doctor. You know, I'm 35 years old, and, you know, half my life is gone, and I finally can work. I don't want to do that. And he was like, well, look at this EMT. You can get your EMT right now. And there's this course where you can go to Costa Rica and do medical clinics. And I was like, wow, like that sounds cool. You know, that would be awesome. So lo and behold, you know, got my EMT, went to Costa Rica, and did medical clinics in villages out there, and, you know, saw some pretty crazy stuff. Things that, you know, normally you wouldn't see in America, let alone, you know, you don't really get to see just kind of driving through third world countries, you know, down to Mexico or whatever, is just they have no knowledge of medical information at all. Like we had guys, we had this one guy who came into our facility was literally a public library. We were operating on people in a public library, as you can see, like how you know,
Sure.
awful those conditions are, you know, to us at least, right? You know, to them, it's just how it is. But we had a guy come in. He had his toe was probably about this big, and he had a piece of shrapnel. He got in a motorcycle accident. It was like in his toe, and was just. I have no idea how he didn't, you know, die of sepsis at this point, which is basically a body-wide infection.
Sure.
It's like there's no way, right? Yeah. But anyways, his toe was this big. We ended up removing the shrapnel from his toe, saving his life. And from that point on, I was like, you know, I'm not a doctor, but there's something real here where I feel like I could make a difference and, you know, be able to give back. And so for me going forward, that was kind of my transition point into not only getting into the emergency medical field side of it, you know, going for my EMT, working for the fire department, and then, you know, working as well as a lifeguard in the ocean. That was kind of my pivotal moment of realizing what I wanted to do with my life. Is I wanted to give back and I wanted to serve and help people. That was my passion. And, you know, moving forward from that moment, you know, I ended up wanting to start my own company because I said, you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm just an EMT, but what can I actually do to help these people in these situations? And at that point, I decided that I wanted to start a company that sole focus was to educate people and to create 911 systems or emergency response systems in different countries. And so, you know, that was 2.5 years ago that I started that, or 2.5 years ago. Yeah, 2.5. That I started that company and, you know, was doing it pretty well for about a year and a half. Year and a half.
Okay.
And, you know, it was great. Traveled to a bunch of different countries, saw some crazy things. Again, you know, got to meet.
What countries did you travel to and elaborate in?
So really we focused on Indonesia and then Nicaragua was our two ones. Indonesia, most amazing people you'll ever meet. If anyone, you know, listening ever has a chance to go, the most beautiful people, just inside and out. I remember we one time went to this village that we were teaching at, and I asked a kid there, I said, what's your favorite thing to do, man? He said, my favorite thing to do is learn. I was like, you will never hear that come out of a, you know, 21st century kid's mouth in anywhere in the United States, right? They'll be like, my favorite thing is scrolling on TikTok. That's probably what you'll hear, dude, you know?
Right.
And so hearing that was just crazy, right? But that's a lot of third world countries is they want opportunities and they want the ability to learn. And probably some of those kids first time seeing a white dude, you know? And so they looked up to me kind of like I was, you know, not a god, but just, you know, this higher figure of someone who's intelligent and they want to just hear everything I have to say. And, you know, seeing that,
they're like, whoa, he's got straight pokey hair.
Dude. Whoa, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know hair could be like that.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. I'll have blonde hair. My hair is brown now because I'm living in Chicago, but, you know, my hair does get blonde, and it was like beach blonde at that point. And like, oh my gosh, they're going crazy. But the point of it was actually that these kids, that, you know, anyone in these third world countries, they want to learn this stuff and they want to be educated because they know it's a problem. They know that, you know, one of the crazy stories that I had actually, I want to tell you a funny story I had that will kind of understand the basis of the craziness of this. Is we were in, I'll go back to Costa Rica. We actually had a guy who, you know, he came up. So the way that it works in the facility is the people come up to you as an EMT, and then they tell you about their conditions, kind of what's going on, if there's anything pertinent happening, and then at that point you kind of pre-diagnose them and then give them over to a physician or doctor. And I had this guy come to me, and he was just the town drunk. The dude rode up on a horse, like, you know, galloped in. Kind of a legend, not gonna lie. Came in, and he was, you know, came talk to me. He's like, he comes like, come here. I'm like trying to, because we have a translator. The translator was a girl, and so I guess he didn't want to talk to her about anything. And so he comes, says, come here, come close. He says, cojones, like cojones. I'm like cojones. I'm like, okay, like, he's like, yo, like huevos. I'm like, what? Like, what is he talking? Like, cojones, like, I'm pretty sure that's balls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And talk to the translator, and he won't communicate. And then he just like points down. I'm like, dude, something's wrong with his nuts, I guess. Like, I don't know what's going on. lo and behold, dude, we go back. I go to the Costa Rican doctor, who's a guy, because there was mainly, nurse practitioners, paramedics there, who kind of were the ones that were facilitating the medical aid. And he was one of the only Costa Rican doctors. I said, okay, dude, let's check this guy out. So we go back. Literally, we're in a school, so like the examination room is just a tarp, just covered, like in 4 squares. But we go back there. Dude pulls his pants down, and I kid you not, his nuts were probably the size of like 5 water balloons put together, like probably down to his knee. And I was like, dude, what's going on? Like, how is this humanly possible, And the doctor, after we examined him, obviously, he was telling me the story. His horse, like, kicked him in the nuts probably like a year ago, and did so much trauma. Obviously, they had to amputate and just completely remove his testicles. But, like, at that point, he was like, this is why this is so important of what we do, because this dude would have died. Obviously the injury is, kind of amusing at that point, but it's the sad part is if that's left untreated, people just die. And so that's kind of the thing, is no one can afford medical aid. No one can go get medical aid. That was just a funny story there where, this guy literally is a town drunk dude, didn't even know, but, I guess thought it was completely normal that his nuts were the size of 5 water balloons, but like never sought medical treatment for that.
Sheesh.
So, that to me was just kind of a sign, again, of why I wanted to create this and do this. And so, we focused primarily on Indonesia, Nicaragua, and really just wanted to hone in on countries that were extremely impoverished and, really needed our help. And I have so many stories of just, crazy things that have happened and experiences of people and in these different countries and kind of, what they wanted. But
bro.
That's kind of my background as far as before getting into sales in general, is just wanting to help, wanting to serve, wanting to do the most I can to impact,
Wow. What a great experience. What would you say are a few, the biggest thing you learned, or a few things you learned doing that?
Yeah. So one of the most valuable lessons I've learned is no matter how hard you try, you cannot change poverty, no matter how hard you try. One of the things is going into the nonprofit space, help me being young, even 2.5 years ago, I'm like, dude, I could change the world. You know what I mean? That mindset, right? Is you're just like, nothing can stop me. I want to just push. And honestly, I think one day it dawned on me. We actually were trying to raise money to buy this family a house. And, we had good money. We were going to buy them a house. We were partnering with another organization. And they were living in literally 2 sticks in a teepee. It was just awful living conditions, drinking out of this well that was, Giardia filled, just not good, right? Every condition. They were feeding this little girl only plantain. She probably was diabetic by the time she was like 5. I don't know, because just not good.
Sure.
And they're sleeping on this couch, and their home just got wiped out by a flood. And sitting there, talking to them with the translator, like, hey, we could get you, a new place. And the guy just comes up to me. He's like, I don't want it. What do you mean, dude? Like, look at where you live. I didn't really say that, but I was like, do you feel like you would benefit from another living situation better than this? At least a house, someplace you can be with. He's like, dude, why do I need that? Why do I, I'm perfectly fine. I have my family. I'm happy. And, that really hit me, man. It was emotional. And I was like, these people have lived like this for so long, and they've done the same thing forever, that they don't know what's better. Wow. And so they don't want what's better, because that is what's better, is just living there and being with their family. And, that to me was just a huge moment where I realized not only was I so grateful for my life, the people in it, and just where I was and blessed growing up in America, first and foremost. But secondly was, just realizing that I'm not going to change poverty, because there's hundreds of thousands of years of practices that I'm trying to change. And these people just want to be with their family, and they're not, as much as you see on the commercials, starving, this. It's, yes, of course they are hungry and they want food, but they're happy because that's all they need is so small and so minimal. And that was probably one of the biggest learning lessons I learned, is that, I can try and give back. I can try and change these communities as much as I possibly can. But at the same time, like, I'm never going to change what has been built up for thousands of years in these communities and these families. And like, it's literally like we're in Indonesia, here in America, if you're 18, you move out of the house, like, good on you, right? Like, you got out of there, you figured it out, you figured out life.
Yeah.
But, in Indonesia, if you're 18, you move out of the house, they're like, dude, that's a disgrace. Like,
yeah,
you just disgrace your family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I'd say the biggest learning lessons, really just came out of the cultures and just learning, the different ways people act in different countries and the mindsets. And, honestly, it was just learning people.
Wow.
Yeah.
It really puts in perspective as to, dude, just like, we're so blessed.
Yeah.
And I was on my balcony with Miles this morning. We were looking out on the lake and in the cold plunge, and it's just like, dude, it's just so surreal, and it's very easy to get caught up in the day-to-day experiences and, this and that, and I need to get this, and this could be better than this over here, where it's like, dude, we're already, if you're making $60,000 a year, you're considered wealthy.
Right.
To the majority of people in the world.
Right.
So, yeah. Dude,
like Nicaragua is $1 an hour minimum wage. So,
wow.
Yeah, put that into perspective. You're just like, wow, I'm probably, especially being in this industry, I'm probably one of the most blessed people alive, to be in this situation, be surrounded by the people I am. So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's just, it just really humbles and grounds you. I'm sure after doing that, you probably don't look at almost anything the same. No,
it totally changed my perspective on life. And I think, I was just so much more grateful for everything that has happened in my life and where I come from. I think it's so funny in society. We see a lot of people, hate America or whatever and want to move out. I'm like, dude, it's not much place better than here, man. I know it's kind of hard to see it because they haven't seen it. But once you see it, you're just like, yeah, this is why they call it the land of opportunity, is because there really isn't a whole lot of opportunity out there, as far as, being in financial wealth, freedom, et cetera. So,
yeah, 100%. We're blessed to fund a few orphanages in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And I've just been thankful for the opportunity to give back, but we're talking about taking a trip down there because I've never been down there.
Yeah.
And, I would love to.
That would be amazing.
Just to see how people live.
It's a game changer, dude. I think
changes your perspective,
because you bring a lot of that stuff into your business. You bring a lot of that stuff into your work ethic, the way that you hold yourself as an individual, and because you're humbled and you treat people differently. You treat people more like family. You look at individuals who are struggling, and you don't put them down. You bring them up because of the things that you see in these situations that you put yourselves in those different cultures. And so that's kind of like one of the biggest things that I've also taken away was learning that in those other cultures is honestly how to deal with people.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Dude, 100%. And because I read a statistic, and I think it said 87% of millionaires are first or second generation immigrants.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because exactly to what you said, Jake, that adds to your work ethic. If you grew up in perfect, white family, picket fence, never struggled, parents loved, dude, those people typically never end up being successful. If you've never been through adversity, you've never struggled.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to see the darkness and the negative things in life to really get you to push you to get to that next level.
100%.
And the highs aren't as high without the lows.
100%.
So when you see that, I mean, I see your work ethic here in the office.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a testament of you being in third world countries and seeing what it's like. Well, that's how these people live.
One of the things too, man, is, we talked about this obviously when I first came into the industry or came onto your guys' team, was I probably went through one of the hardest times in my life.
Yeah.
you know, I had my company. It was my baby.
Yeah.
I put everything into it. God, I was probably working like 16 hours a day. It was 7 days a week. That was everything to me.
Yeah.
You know, when you're passionate about something, you're crazy how much your mind wants to work towards it. Like, you just kind of doesn't feel like work ever. You know, you're just
100%.
you're just there. You're
Yes.
existing, and you're working on something that you feel is bigger than you, right? And you know, sadly, you know, I put myself in some unfortunate situations with the people that I was working with, but you know, I ended up losing the company, and you know, pretty much it felt like it was, you know, taken from me in a way that I had no control over. Where you know, looking back at it, you know, I lost everything. And I remember, you know, being in that kind of anxiety mode of just like kind of curl up in a ball kind of mentality. You know, you're just like, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, I just lost everything. Like, where do I go? This is my passion. This was everything to me. Granted, I still could go work at, you know, the fire department or go work, you know, as an ocean lifeguard. Like, there's no stopping me from doing that. But this is my baby. You know, this was everything I had ever wanted. The communication, the relationships, the people, everything was just gone in a moment, just completely gone. And I was in a ton of lawyer debt. You know, they had a pro bono attorney. I did not. So, you know, obviously I made that mistake. But looking back at it, I'm so glad it happened. I am so glad I went through that shitty point in my life. If I had not gone through it, I don't know where I would be today. And honestly, it taught me some of the most valuable lessons I will ever learn in my life. And I'm so glad it happened young, because some people, I mean, dude, you see it all the time. I know it happened. We were talking about how it happened with like Gymshark, you know, like, dude, lost everything, you know, partners. You know, that happened when they were so much older and $1 billion company. You know what I mean? Where mine was so small.
Yeah.
Like,
same with Mark Zuck, founders of Facebook.
Right. It's like, I'm so glad it happened then. And I'm so glad I learned those valuable lessons of, number one, how to structure a business, always contingency plans for everything. But also, you know, learning how to come back from nothing and realizing that when you lose everything, you actually have also gained everything, because you've gained perspective, you've gained knowledge, and you've gained a mindset that you would have never gained if you haven't lost everything. And, you know, that to me was probably one of the most motivating and, you know, demotivating, obviously at that time, but and probably one of the most motivating and you know, just shifts in my life that kind of pushed me towards, you know, wanting something different for myself. And so, you know, going from that, losing everything, I'll kind of go into it, you know, got into sales. I was like, dude, I'm, you know, 30 or whatever it is, just a lot of money in the hole. And, you know, how do I make that money back fast? You know, and it's like, well, I can't go back to working, you know, as an EMT. I ain't making that much money. And it's going to be a long road, you know, before I can make that back, you know, paying, you know, other expenses and whatnot.
How much lawyer debt were you in?
It was a lot. It was definitely over 10,000. So it was, you know, a lot over, you know, 10, 15,000. So for me, especially, dude, I poured everything in that company. I took all the money I made from that company and put it immediately back into it. So I was living in I didn't tell you this, but like, I think I told you this before, but dude, I did the van life for a while. So I like rented out, you know, built out a van. It wasn't like, you know, homeless life. I definitely was living pretty good. I had the solar panels, the batteries, a fridge, you know, cookware, you know, whatever it is. Like, it was a nice van.
Yeah. I told you this. My uncle, he's got a van building company.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
New Life Van Conversions. And because he used to build, you know, beautiful $1 million homes on, you know, on lakes and different things. And he built some mansions. So he did that for years. So he's really good at what he does, and now he just builds out these just guts inside of these vans and builds out beautiful vans. So you can definitely make them dope.
100%. And by all means, dude, my van probably looked absolutely nothing like your uncle's, dude. Probably like a second grade carpentry work, but like, hey, we learned, right? Yeah. YouTube University, that was the way it worked. And I think I spent most of the majority of my time just sitting in the middle of the van, just being like, dude, what the hell do I do?
Yeah.
Where do I go? What do I build? This is just an empty van, you know? And so, but anyways, you know, that was my life. Is I lived in a van by the beach, and I poured all of my, you know, revenue or profit into my business, because that was my mindset at the time. Is that was everything for me. And so I had not that much money, you know, I did not have a lot of money because everything was back in the business. And, you know, so that was really my mind shift. I'm like, dude, I need to make money now.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of pushed me into sales. I was looking for sales jobs, you know, do the whole Indeed thing. And I had a buddy who was like, yeah, dude, I'm doing solar. I was like, solar? What's that, dude? You know, like, you're slinging panels on people's roofs. Are you installing them? He's like, no, dude, I literally knock doors and I sell solar panels. I was like, okay, well, I mean, hell, I can talk to people, you know, I could probably knock some doors, you know, whatever. So I was like, you know, how much are you making? And, you know, with a lot of sales industries, you know, excluding this one, you know, there's a lot of, you know, get rich quick, right? You're like, oh, dude, put in the, you know, knock a door, dude, you could write 100K, you know, like whatever it is, you know, it's like, all right, come on, you know, but I believed it, you know, I was like, dude, shoot, these guys are making so much money. Little I know it was imaginary money, but, you know, that going into that situation is, you know, I did pretty good in solar. I did pretty well. Obviously, there's a lot of variables outside of your control, but at that point, you know, I'd started my sales career of just, you know, wanting to develop myself in that environment. And I started in San Diego, ended up moving out to Colorado to another solar company. And then from there, just traveled and built a team, you know, around like, you know, 15, 20 guys. You know, built a team and kind of just traveled all over the United States selling solar. You know, I went to about like I said, 9 or 9 to 10 different states.
What were all the states that you sold in?
Colorado, California, New Mexico, Tennessee, where we are, Kentucky, Cincinnati. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember them all. Texas. And Ohio, and or Cincinnati is Ohio. And then we went up to I did also in Washington for a little bit, and let's see, I can't remember all of them, but yeah, a lot of states, dude.
A
lot of states, man, and a lot of driving, a lot of miles on my car. I literally I sold my Jeep and bought a Prius to sell solar because I was driving so much, dude. Even not a solar panel on top of the Prius was
major
a good
upgrade.
Sell too. Exactly, dude. So it was a major upgrade, but you know, that's how committed I was, and I wanted to build a team, like kind of translating my exact you know, desires for building a company before, because it's how the entrepreneur mindset. I'm like, dude, I want to build something bigger than myself. And so I transitioned immediately into solar. You know, granted, that was not the best vehicle to be doing it in, which is why I'm here now.
Sure.
Right? But for me, kind of the biggest things that I noticed going from solar to here really was, you know, or just in general of being in sales, right? Because what a difference. Never in a million years could someone tell me that I would go from, you know, saving people's lives, you know, working in medical situations, to knocking on someone's door and selling them solar panels.
Right.
Never in a million years could you tell me that. I'd be like, dude, what are you saying? I would never do that. Right. But life changes. And I think that's probably one of the most important lessons that you can learn is that, you know, you got to take risks in your life.
You have to. Yes.
It's the only way. I think, you know, it's one of the funny things I heard, or not funny things, but interesting things I heard. You know, the dude who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So he was talking, and he was this young guy in front of him, I don't know, maybe like mid-20s. And he's like, dude, you invest in stocks, bro? And he's like, yeah. He's like, okay, like mutual funds. Like, he's like, yeah. He's like, okay. You know, why? He's like, you making money from that? He's like, yeah, making money from my stocks, you know. You know, he's not a day trader, but yeah, making money. He's like, cool. He's like, stop doing that. And he's like, why? He's like, if I was your age, I would take all of my money I'm investing in stocks, all of it, and I would invest it into my business, all of it. Mm-hmm. And I would also invest that into myself. Courses, education, whatever it is, investing that money into myself. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, like That's literally the opposite of what literally society tells you to do, right? They tell you, yo, as soon as you can, 401k, retirement, let's retire at 65 with, $1 million in my Roth, whatever it is. That's the societal goal. And I think if it wasn't for the risks that I've taken in my life, I don't think my education would be where it is. I don't think my knowledge would be where it is. And, I got a college degree. I got a degree in sociology and criminology.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
The hell am I doing with that degree right now? Literally nothing. But I'm grateful for college. Anyone out there who is deciding, should I stay in college, go to college? I mean, it's entirely up to you. But from my experience, I think college is a good foundation of seeing a bunch of people and being surrounded by a bunch of people who have absolutely no idea what the hell they want to do with their life.
Great networking opportunity, though.
And so it's just like kind of just touching on all these fields that maybe you can get, intact with. But
well, bro, here's the thing, because the college it's the only investment you can make where it has double diminishing returns, where every single year the cost of college increases and the tactical applicable value of that degree decreases
entirely.
And it's the only thing where even if you declare bankruptcy, you can't get out of your student loan.
Nope. I mean, hell, that's why I was like, he's like, you want to be a doctor, bro? I'm like, I don't know.
And it's not even a fair market opportunity, because if you went to the bank and said, hey, can I get $100,000 loan for my business, or can I get $100,000 loan for school loans?
Yeah.
They'll give you the school loans and tell you to F off.
Yeah.
For the business loan.
Yeah.
So it's not even fair. Like if it was a fair open market scenario, like a lot less people would go to college and would get a student loan. And also, regarding what you said about investing in your bit, like 100%. Because I used to have the same mindset.
Yeah.
Where I love stocks.
Yeah.
I love investing.
Same.
And I'm really into it. And I own stocks. Yeah. But it doesn't take long to realize you just simply do the numbers. It's like, bro, who gives a crap about an 8% return?
Right.
I'm looking for an 800% return.
Yeah.
I'm trying to grow my business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to grow yourself, because it's funny because I was just talking to an agent this morning in the gym, and he's working part-time, and it's just like he honestly just struggled with mindset and believing in himself. And he was like, maybe like a couple years from now, get a place downtown. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I got to get some real estate and do that. I was like, bro, I just bought a real estate property.
Yeah.
I just put $120,000 down to cash flow $500 a month.
Yeah.
That doesn't get me excited.
No.
Like
no.
When I first moved here to Chicago, I was dead broke, and the only way that I didn't become homeless was by selling my stocks and selling all my investments. I sold all my stocks, crypto, Ethereum, and I put it all into lids and all into my business. And thank God I did.
Yeah.
Because it has yielded me a way better return than anything I would have invested in the stock market, crypto, real estate, there's no other comparison. And 100%. when the fact that, and just let's think about that. Yeah. Let's think about, because you're investing in somebody's business. Yeah. So when you're buying stocks and you're, as an entrepreneur, you're saying, hey, I want to put my money in your business because I believe in your business more than I believe in myself and my business. Yeah. I believe your business is going to be more successful than my business, and that's why I'm going to put all my money, and instead of investing in myself and have a greater return, I'm going to give it to you for your business. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's just low self-image. So you just got to believe in yourself.
I think a lot of people, too, they correlate success with finances, and that's just not... obviously, success is all perception. Let's get that straight. Success is all perception based. Everyone has a different perception of or metric of what you're saying is successful, right? But I think a lot of things that I've learned, in my life, my short life, is what I've learned is that honestly, that everything in life, if you view everything in life as an experience, there will be no negative thing that has ever happened in your life. If you truly believe that every single thing in your life is entirely just an experience that's building the person that you are today or going to become. Nothing will be negative. And I think I took that and I've tried to apply it as much as I can to my life. And honestly, my metric of success or my perception of success is not finances. It's becoming someone that I want to be, where in developing myself as an individual. that to me is a metric of success. Because I mean, I think I even told you this. It was so funny. I heard on some podcast, I think it was on Rogan's podcast, that Dan Bilzerian, if you guys don't know who he is, he's this wealthy poker player, gambler dude who's, you know, all the women in the world, all the money in the world. Dude, just, you got it all.
Yeah.
Homie wanted to shave his head and work in an Amazon warehouse. Like, what do you mean, dude? You got everything. Like, you have everything any man could ever want. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he doesn't want that. He's had everything. He wants to reset, right? He wants to go shave his head and work in an Amazon warehouse. Like, what is that? You know, I don't know if he did it, but, you know, that's where you kind of start to understand that you can have all the money in the world, but if you haven't developed yourself as an individual and poured that time, energy, and effort to building who you want to become, then you really have nothing.
Yes, 1,000%. Because people, they look at successful people and they look at millionaires and guys that have really won in life.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said, they look at, oh, their amount of money, that's the reward they've gotten. But your reward is your character.
Yeah.
What you've developed as a person, who you've become, the adversity you've went through. Yeah. And Alex Hormozi, he has a quote that I love where he says that the harder it gets, the more excited I become because I know so few people will follow.
Yeah. And
that's so true because, dude, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what business you're in, every male entrepreneur and female, but people that want to become successful, they go on relatively the same journey, and they have to deal with roughly the same amount of adversity, same amount of suffering, the same amount of BS, same amount of pitfalls, downfalls. This happened, lost the business, got sued, this person quit, this thing's going wrong, I owe all this money, and all these different paths, and just to eventually get to the top. So people that are successful, it's your character.
Yeah.
So you become as a person. That's the real reward.
Right.
In it.
Yeah, 100%.
See, there's beauty in adversity.
Right. But, you know, and the money will come. Like, if you just, like, I mean, I've even realized it in the short time that I've been in this industry is like, dude, I'm working hard and I'm building myself as an individual, and like, I'm not even focusing on the money, and it's just coming.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if you genuinely, you know, it's hard, right? Because the way society perceives life is, again, like we talked about, is, dude, you work in the corporate ladder, you go to college, get a degree, you hopefully get somewhat of a good GPA, whatever the hell, if that even matters, right? And then you go to, you know, let's just say business, you go work in some, you know, you're in the mailroom or whatever, you start in the mailroom, and then you work your way up. Now you're, you know, running clients or whatever, and then you're just working your way up the corporate ladder until finally you've got enough in your 401k at 67 years old when you can retire.
You're a slave.
Right. Like, and then you got to realize in your mindset is like, is that the life that I want? And honestly, like, I would rather be broke, slaving away, building things that are bigger than myself, taking risks, meeting people, building myself as an individual. Honestly, just risk in general is the best thing that's ever happened in my life. And I'd rather be taking so many risks in my life, doing the things that people tell me not to do. Because the people who, you gotta understand, who's telling you not to do something, right? Who is that individual? And I think you really gotta, because people told me don't go to, dude, you're 19 years old when I was, you know, when I started my EMT thing fresh in college. Like, you're 19, where the hell would you go to a different country and do that? You need to focus on, you know, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But taking risks is the best thing that you could ever do as an individual in any industry that you're in. And you're not saying that working for a corporate job is the wrong thing. I don't think anyone has the answer of what is the right and wrong thing to do with your life. But I think the biggest question that you should ask yourself is, where do you see yourself growing in the position that you're in right now? Where can you grow?
Yes.
And if there's no growth, where can you go where you can find growth? You know, because that's the biggest thing is in these corporate positions, like, you're capped. You're literally capped. You cannot go up until Nancy, who's been in there for 57 years working the same damn job that you were about to work, is not gonna, you know, she's gonna die in that job. So you ain't getting that position until she dies. You know what I mean? So it's like, you gotta ask yourself that question as well. Is like, where's my growth here?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just plugging in numbers into a spreadsheet, praying to God that, you know, one day Nancy's going to freaking kick the bucket, you know? Right? So, you know, I think that's the perspective that I've tried to hold myself now in my life is just, there's no right or wrong way. No one has all of the answers. The one who has all of the answers is yourself. And the only way you can achieve and answer those questions that you most desperately have every single day is to take risks and to build yourself as an individual. And I think I've only gotten to learn that through adversity, like you're saying,
bro.
So yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here.
And speaking of the corporate life, I was just like, I was driving to the office, and I see this kid my age.
Yeah.
And he's got the khakis and his shirt's tucked in, and he had the depressing shirt tuck. Yeah. Where, you know, it was he was running, and you could tell he was hustling, getting his boss's coffee, doing the coffee run, to hopefully 3 months from now, make a little bit of money because he's on the summer internship. And it was just like, I was like, bro, that could have been me. Yeah. Fuck that.
Right.
Right. Like, and I remember it was funny because even as a young kid, I told my dad this. I remember so distinctly. I was like, Dad, I would rather work 80 hours a week for myself than 40 hours a week for someone else.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And dude, honestly, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
And one more thing I want to add to that, because ultimately, you know, it's, you know, money's great. Money's awesome. But dude, I did like one of the bigger motivators for me is, dude, I just want to be free. Yeah. I just want to be free to live my life and not have to live life on anybody's terms. And like, what's the number one cause of divorce? Finances. Number one cause, like, it's just not only just, you know, making money, but also being financially literate. Mm-hmm. And because there's a lot of people that make a lot of money. I know people that make $1 million a year. Yeah. But they spend it all. Yep. You're still broke.
When you make more, you spend more, right?
So just being financially free, where it's like, you know, it's because not to hate on, you know, index funds or bonds or 401k. So I have all that. I have stocks, index funds, you know, acquiring real estate now. But dude, like, don't, like, that's not your way to get wealthy. Like, you're never going to become wealthy off of that. You're going to become wealthy by investing in your business, and the excess revenue from your business, once you've built it to a certain point, simply put it into those investments.
Exactly.
But no, what were you saying?
No, I mean, I think, you know, touching on that, I was really just going to, you know, look at, well, where is your metric of success where, you know, you're putting yourself in a day-to-day, when you're talking about the corporate grind, right? You're talking about this individual, this kid, you know, who's run into his office doing whatever, you know, going the coffee route. I think, you know, you need to ask yourself too, is like, why sales, right? For me and for you as well.
Yeah. Everyone should ask that.
Why sales? And I look at that too as now, like, obviously I chose sales for the wrong reason in the beginning. I chose sales to get money.
I'll be honest, so did I.
Yeah. Most people do. They're like, dude, sales, money, hell yeah, right? Let's go, right? You know, okay, well, you know, take it easy, buddy. You know, right? It's not like that. Sure, it can be, but what is sales and why I am still here? Because, you know, we had this talk, if you remember, you know, we had this talk at the beginning of when I came in. I was like, dude, like, I'm telling you where I came from. I'm telling you my experience in solar, which was not great. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm now coming into sales again, into a different industry. Dude, I struggle a lot with motivation because my motivation is not money. My motivation is to help and serve and just build something bigger than myself, right? And you know, what I've learned through sales, number one, and not just in this industry, but sales alone, is I am building myself to become the best communicator I can possibly be. Now, what does that translate to? Let's just say, I mean, I don't think anyone in sales is like, dude, I'm gonna do sales forever, right? I don't think anyone thinks that, okay? Mm-hmm. Maybe some people do, you know, God, there's probably some dudes I could probably see knocking doors forever, right? Till they're retired, but, you know, whatever. But sales as a whole, to me, in reflecting, honestly, because I analyze myself a lot, and I kind of think about, you know, these things, is I'm now just developing the skills to be the best communicator that I can possibly be. Now, what is that? That's going to translate to every other industry, to every other business, anything I ever want to do in my life. is I'm having to battle rejection. I'm having to literally think of rebuttals and things to, battle these objections literally like that, right? That's a communication piece. I'm also having to build a team. I'm having to train people. And I'm having to just learn these skills of being a communicator. And honestly, that's probably why if anyone's on the fence of doing sales in general, of wherever they're at in their life, is the best thing you could possibly do for yourself. For what I've learned and from what I've heard from so many different people, and I'm not the Jesus of sales, but I've learned is the best thing you could possibly do is become the best communicator you could possibly be.
Yes.
And honestly, that's where, when we say we struggle with motivation is if you're in a position where you're thinking about sales, think about that, right? You want to be the top dog in an industry. You want to be, this whatever person you imagine yourself in 20 years, you will not become that person unless you get good at communicating with people.
Well, bro, because especially in today's day and age, because I believe we've all heard the saying that content is king.
Yeah.
And I believe Bill Gates was the first to say that.
Yeah.
And Bill Gates said that in the 90s. Content is king. And which is true.
Yeah.
And he had the vision as to before the internet was really a thing. And if content is king, communication is queen. And the way you articulate and communicate yourself, because dude, you could be the smartest person in the world.
Right.
You could have all the greatest ideas.
Right.
If you can't articulate those, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you can't help influence people, motivate people, connect with people, it's hard to accomplish anything.
Right. And I think that's kind of where I would say, like I said, anyone on the fence of thinking whether or not, 'cause anything you do, you need sales. Sales is a lifeblood of every company.
Your life.
Like even if you're, doing video editing, or if you're driving freight for a or for your own company or whatever it is, dude, you're still having to sell either yourself or you're having to sell a product or your brand, whatever it is, you're still having to sell something. So think about that.
Bro, not only that, but also in our personal life.
Right.
Because obviously I've sold a ton. And when me and Claudia first met, she had no sales experience.
Yeah.
And she got into sales because of me, and she learned how to sell a lot. And just the impact that it's had on our relationship together, having the ability to articulate and communicate and both having that sales experience together, our relationship is so much healthier. Knowing how to communicate and talk with people from that from sales and learning that. So dude, I think a lot of you have heard it, but it's so true. It's not only your life is sales, you're constantly selling, and not only are your finances going to be great because sales is one of the highest paying sales jobs out there, and it's the one job. Sales is the one job that does not discriminate.
No.
Where it doesn't matter what your high school GPA was, what college degree you have, what ethnicity you are, how young or old you are.
Right.
As long as you come in, you're coachable and you have a solid work ethic, you determine your paycheck. And there's not many industries that can do that.
No.
But like what I was talking about before is sales impacts every aspect of your life. We're not only in business, but your personal relationships and how you treat people, what you get out of life. Everything will be better when you develop and you're able to articulate yourself and learn how, and selling is the best way to learn that.
Entirely.
Yes.
And I think something, to add on that is really where, like I told you when we talked initially, and I said, dude, wow, I want to make a difference, right? I want to change people's lives, thinking about that, right? Is that's what makes me feel the best. If I can have an impact on somebody else other than myself, granted, you got to take care of yourself first in order to do that. But, I want to help people.
Yes.
And one of the most, honestly, fundamental things that I learned early on, I think it was when we first did my first lock-in in February in Texas, right, is we had Joe come out. Anyone who doesn't know Joe is,
the GOAT.
The founder of Pinnacle. He is the GOAT. And he honestly was just talking about, the rewards of being in this industry. And I heard it from somebody else, but I think it more resonated when he said it because obviously he's in this industry, the other person was not. But basically, what he's talking about is the motivation behind helping people in this industry is, from where I came, because I think I had somewhat of a conversation like this with Gabe as well, because he does, or Gabe Erickson, he does the orphanages, right? So obviously he's doing that, helping other people he can. But the best way you can help somebody, the best way you can change somebody's life is to give them the knowledge, the tools, and the opportunity to be successful. And that really resonated. And I was like, damn, okay, like, what does that mean, right? Reflecting on that. Okay, so if I give someone, let's just say I've got my agent right here. He's under me, and I'm responsible for bringing him up in this industry. Okay, now this agent, no sales experience, dude's fresh off the janitor duty, right? Nothing, doesn't have a lot going on for him, but is ready to take a risk. Now, if this agent here, I'm pouring in my knowledge, I'm giving him this tools for sales, or just any tools to be successful communicator, etc. And then I'm also giving him the opportunity. Now, what is that going to do for this individual? He's going to become financially free. Okay, number one. Number two, he's going to have to develop the skills that are literally going to last him a lifetime of success. Number three, it's a domino effect, dude. He's going to bring on another agent, or not even another agent. Maybe it's his brother who isn't, maybe in a different industry, but the knowledge and tools he's gained, he's going to pass that on to whatever individual comes into his life. And that's just going to snowball and snowball. But where did it start? It started with you, right? And I tell you this all the time, dude. I'm like, look what you have built, and look at the lives that you've impacted, and the people that you've impacted forever, for the rest of their life, because you made the decision to pour knowledge, tools, training, and an opportunity. And you've changed their entire life.
It's humbling.
And, that's something that you shouldn't be taken lightly, but also at the same time is like, that all just started with you taking a risk, investing in yourself, and, being this opportunity. And that to me was like, dude, there's no other industry that I want to be in. Honestly, there's no other industry. Because that is what I'm looking for. I get the most excited. I get the most passionate about changing other people's lives. And if I can change their lives in the way that's going to change them forever, in the people's lives that they impact, dude, that's God's work, bro. That's literally the best work you could ever do.
Yeah.
And, if anyone, again, is thinking about sales, thinking about, financial services, selling life insurance, it's not about selling life insurance. It's not about sales, dude. It's not about making money. It's about the impact you're going to make on yourself. And it's about the impact you're going to make on other people. And if you want that for yourself, then we're here to help you with that. Right? But you've got to make that decision on your own. Mm-hmm. You've got to say, hey, today's the day that I want to change my life.
What would you say to that person that's watching this right now, and they're honestly afraid?
Yeah.
They're afraid that they're comfortable, and they're afraid to make a jump. They want a difference, but they're unsure. And they're afraid they might fail. What advice would you have for them?
What I would tell them is, be afraid. It's okay. You're not alone, dude. Everyone's afraid.
Yeah.
Everyone's afraid of something. Everyone's afraid of new opportunities and experiences. If they're telling you they're not, it's a lie.
You should be afraid. That's good.
Yeah. Embrace it. But at the same time, as you're embracing that, I guess fear, is use that. Fear, as we talked about, is not only the biggest selling point of sales in general. People buy off a lot of times of fear of not being in the situation. If they didn't have the product, if they didn't have the service, whatever it is, they're fearful of that situation, right? That's life insurance, that's what we do, is we are creating value built up on what happens, John, if you pass away. What's Nancy going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's fear. Granted, I'm not pushing that fear on that person. I'm just telling them real life, right? So I think embrace that fear, embrace the real life of what life would be like if you didn't take a risk on, an opportunity. And I think anyone looking at financial services and opportunities, you need to ask yourself, where do you want to be in 10 years, 5 years? What person do you want to become? And I think ask yourself that and really reflect on that. And if, even remotely it comes close to, I want to just be a better individual than I am now. Okay. Now you got to think of, now what does this industry have that other industries don't? Okay. And I want you to ask yourself this question as well is, what qualities do I want to pick up along the way? Right. So now going into what does this industry have that others don't? There's only one variable in this industry. There's only one variable. There's only one. All other industries, you're going to a corporate job, you know what the variable is? Your homeboy, your boss, he can fire you tomorrow. He lay you off. You'll have a job.
That's so funny because people always say like, oh, I want something secure.
Yeah.
I want something safe.
It's funny. I was literally watching this movie right now. It's called Get a Job. You guys should watch it if you're listening to this. It is literally the example of corporate life. This dad is struggling getting a job, and it's so funny because he starts with a job, yells at his son for not getting a job in the corporate life, and then loses his job, and then decides to spend several months, I think it was a year at that point, looking for a job as his son got a job. Like how crazy the tables have turned immediately where, you're yelling at your kid to get a job and be financially stable like you, but then all of a sudden you lose everything, right? And he's telling everyone, I'm ripping out of my 401k, I'm, behind on my mortgage, like all this stuff, but like that's corporate life, right? I now know, and what's crazy too is I want to just touch on this really quickly, is, dude, I'll never be broke in my life. Why? Because I know that no matter what, how long has life insurance been around for?
Hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years. Okay. Let's think about that. So if life insurance has been around for a long time, now the way that we work is we're different. We're not a captive agency. We don't work for one company. So we're not in a corporate structure. We're not stuck to one product, one thing we're able to help a family with. Okay. We have lots of different options. But the thing is, you need to ask yourself too that I want to say is, now I'll never be broke because I know that all I have to do is pick up some leads and dial a phone for the rest of my life. If life insurance has lasted 100 years, what's to say it won't last 100 more when you think about hell? So what happened during COVID? Life insurance boomed. What happened during recessions in U.S. history? Life insurance boomed. Why? It's because people, when they realize their life is over, because what does the recession affect? Corporate jobs. Yep. What's corporate America? Like 99% of America, right? So if 99% of America is struggling, what are they going to turn to? Well, they're going to turn to Nancy, John are having this conversation where now they're like, what's going to happen if one of us passes away? Like, we're done for. You're done, Nancy. Oh, what do we do? What's the solution here? Well, we should probably look at life insurance.
Correct.
So
not only if you pass away, but if you become sick, cancer, heart attack, stroke,
anything,
critical illness, disability.
And that's too is where people pivot to is fear. Mm-hmm. So now you are thinking, okay, let's go back to you. You're thinking about coming into this industry. Okay. Now you know that, don't take my word for it. Everyone go on their phone right now if you're listening to this and Google what makes the most millionaires. What industry makes the most millionaires?
Financial services.
And I don't even have to say anything.
Yeah. Everybody knows. Everybody's already looked it up.
Right? You looked it up. Cool. Now come back to this podcast. Now listen to me. Okay. Now you've asked yourself, okay, where do I want to, what impact do I want to make on my own life? What impact do I want to make on others people's lives? Now, as well as, the financial stability of being in this situation, right? Is all you need to do is the only variable you need is yourself, is how much you want to work to make the amount of money you want to work towards, or, whatever amount of money you want to have. Right. And at that point, you need to ask yourself too, who do I want to be surrounded by? Okay. Now, whatever industry you're in, maybe it's, hell, dude, I've been in the restaurant industry. Most people are probably coming from some sort of customer service industry. I know how it works. You go and serve the customers and you go behind the closed doors and you talk, BS about the customer or whatever, like that's just how those jobs work. So now you got to ask yourself, okay, well, who am I surrounded by in that industry? Well, I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who, Cheryl is 57. We're working in the restaurant industry for 30 years. And she's like, people victimize themselves a lot of the times in those industries as well. So like, again, who do you want to surround yourself with? Okay, here's the people here. The people in this industry have taken a risk, okay? Number one, that they're risk takers. They're people who are determined to succeed, okay? That's number one, who these people are. Number two, these people are financially literate, okay? So what does that mean? That means these people here aren't, especially with your team and Pinnacle in general, is morals, okay? Right. What are we doing? We are helping families financially secure the future of their next generation or when they pass away. They're financially securing and protecting their families, and we are helping them with that. Number one, it's very hard to not have good morals when you're helping somebody like that, right? Like you are genuinely providing a service that's going to help them for the rest of their life and for their family's life. Okay, number one, that's two is morals. You want to be surrounded people who have ethics, morals, and coming from where I come from in the medical industry, there's people with a lot of great morals there as well, right? Burnt out individuals, but also coming from a place where I grew up with the industry that I was just in, I want to help and serve people. I want to be around people who have morals and ethics, right? That's the most important thing for me.
Correct.
If you guys can tell, learning about me more. And so you're surrounding yourself by, people, again, who are risk takers. They're morally and ethically correct, right? In the things that they do. And the third thing too is these people are smart. You're surrounding by people who want to be more than just what they are now today, right? They want to bring themselves to another level. And the craziest thing too is I want to, touch on like relating yourself. There's a reason why brotherhood is so important, sisterhood is so important, is because, if you look at the military, for example, hey, you see the military, there's guys who are in there and they keep going back. Dude, why are you going back to, going back and deploying? Like, dude, that it's bad for you. You got PTSD, you got all these things. I grew up closely with someone, from the military, and dude, they want to go back because they don't want to be without their brothers.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
And they don't want to know what's going to happen when they're not there to provide or be there for their brothers or sisters, right? And so that's the exact same mentality in this industry as well, is if you're bringing yourself up to another level, you're inevitably going to bring the people around you up with you. And that's the people as well. That third thing is you're going to surround yourself by. These people are financially literate. They want you to succeed. They want to pour into you. And they want you to be a better individual than you are today. And I think there's no other place that I would want to be in my life. And from the moment that I left solar and came into this, my life has completely changed. It has done a 180. I feel secure. I can afford things that I never thought were possible. I'm living a lifestyle that I never thought were possible. And I'm surrounded by people I never thought was possible. And I think if you're coming from anywhere, that should probably be, and I hope it is. If it's not, then maybe you need to do some more reflecting. But I hope that's what you look for in an industry. I hope that's what you look for with people in life. I think one of the things too is, you've probably heard it. You are the person that you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with in life.
Yes.
The 5 closest people. So if you're thinking about that too, is, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you who are you interacting with every day?
It's funny because everybody's heard that and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But they still choose to surround themselves with negative, mediocre people.
Yep. Entirely. And that's just the nature of the game of life. Is, again, there's no right or wrong way to do life from what I've learned. And I do not have all the answers, and you do not have all the answers.
No.
But we've got a pretty good answer right now. And the answer is sitting right in front of you. And inevitably, it's up to you as an individual listening to this, watching this, is you're the decision maker of your own life. Where do you want to take your life, and who do you want to be around?
1,000%.
And I think if you take that and you apply that to every aspect of your life, I think you're going to find yourself, whether it's in this industry or another industry, you're going to find yourself in a pretty good place. And I am a testament of that, because I didn't just learn that the day I was born. I learned that through losing everything, through adversity, through failing, through being screwed over so many times in my life. And yeah, it's people. And this one thing I want to lastly touch on is I kind of live my life like this, is live life for others, because what's life without them? And I think I will always live my life like that, because life is nothing without other people, really.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyways, yeah, I think that's kind of the main thing I would touch on with people if you're thinking about going into this industry is, all of those things, and kind of reflect on it. Hopefully, anyone who's listening to this wrote some of those things down and can reflect on it, because that's what I do. I journal every night. I write down, the things that I've learned in a day.
How long do you journal for?
It depends, dude. Honestly, I'll be honest. I'm not always the best with it, but I try to journal as much as I can. And I usually try to journal for about like 10, 15 minutes. It's nothing like, I'm not like writing a fucking novel when I go to bed, but like I'm dedicating myself to, did I work as hard as I possibly could today? Did I do the things that I wanted to accomplish, and how can I do better?
Yes. And
I just keep cycling that, and I didn't just come up with that. I obviously heard it, So and that's why I mean you're a big component of podcasts, right? Podcasts are awesome. Yes. They're the best. They're long form content, which you can deliberate, talk about things, form opinions, communicate, and it's not one-sided, because you have the ability to converse. And if you're not listening to podcasts, you need to listen to podcasts.
Facts.
They've changed my life entirely. And because I just love listening to people talk and interact and listen. And so, yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things that's transformed my life as well. But, yeah.
Listening is so key as well. Communication, listening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Jake, in closing, at the end of your life, when everything is all said and done, and you're in the ground, what do you want people to remember you by?
I think that's a big question. I think, I don't know if I want people to remember me. I think before I shut my eyes and before I die, I mean, hell, maybe I didn't have the option to shut my eyes, but let's just say perfect scenario, I'm sitting on a deathbed, sun sets in the horizon or whatever it is, I'm closing, I see the light, right? What do I want to look at is, honestly, in reflection, I don't know if I want people to remember me, but I want to know that I want to be tired. I want to be so tired and exhausted.
Yes.
Because I worked every day as hard as I could, and I spent my life doing the things that I wanted to do. And I'm so tired because I don't have anything else that I want to do, right? Like, I've done it all in retrospect. But also, it's like, I don't want people to remember me. I want to remember the impact that I had on those people. And honestly, I want to live a life that I feel like was fulfilling, and not by anyone other standards besides my own. And it's a loaded question. I think in thought, like, it would probably take me a little bit to form that, but honestly, the basis of it would be just, I want to look back and feel like I genuinely did what I wanted to do in my life, and there's no regrets. And I experienced things that no one else has experienced, and or not many people have experienced. And I think just becoming the ultimate person that I possibly could be is probably the one thing I'd want to die with knowing.
100%.
Yeah, but yeah, in all deepness, I think life's great. Have fun with it, and I definitely want to have fun with my own life. But I want to make sure that I'm putting myself in the right situations. And I think putting yourself in the wrong situations is also good, right? And in closing too, I really want people, because I really resonated with this when I was the most depressed, when I was in the time of my life that I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what industry to go to. Is think about this. Even if you come here and you fail and you quit, okay? All the worst things you could do, you're going to fail, okay? If you come here, you're going to fail. Let's be honest. Sure. You're also going to be successful, right? Mm-hmm. In failure, there's success. Yeah. But let's just say you fail and you quit, okay? Now, again, everything in life is an experience, right? Mm-hmm. So how did you become, or who did you become, and where do you want to be after that? So if everything in life is an experience and nothing is a negative experience at all, right? Nothing is negative. And I think you need to carry that with you, and anyone should, moving forward, if you want to come into this industry in closing. And so honestly, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at right now in this industry, and where my headspace is I'm just trying to live every day as positive I can. I don't know all the answers, and I never will. And if I just hold myself as I always can learn more, and I always can be better, and I always can be more educated, and I'll never know the right or wrong answers, I think that my life will be pretty substantial going forward. And I think, that's kind of the things that I've learned from others who are successful. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Bro, what a great note to end on. Appreciate you.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the opportunity you've given me, and you're about to give so many more people. And again, like I want to tell you, dude, is I am so grateful for you and the opportunity you've given me, but also, again, like the what you've built is so incredible. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart how appreciative I am of you and what you've built and the lives that you've impacted.
Thank you, bro. I love you, dude.
No worries. Love you too, bro.
Just humbled and fired up and ready to take this thing to the next level.
Let's do it, man. All right. We'll see you guys in the office. Take it easy.